Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Paris Henriksen Show. Today I have another Nashville powerhouse real estate agent, Dennifer. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm much obliged. Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here. Let's get started by kind of telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, and then we can circle back to how we met.
Oh, perfect. So I'm Dennifer Reliford. I moved here to Nashville from Indiana to go to college back in 2001. It does not feel like it's been that long. So I'm always kind of in between, like when people ask, where are you from? Am I from here? Am I from there? But anyways, I wanted to pursue dentistry. So after Tennessee State University, I tried to get into dental school. Wasn't successful. Out of 5,000 applicants, I kept getting waitlisted. So real estate fell into my lap. I've always bartended around the city and been in the hospitality realm, so I met great people and was always building my black book with that. So I ran into some people that were actually selling real estate at the time that I was waiting to get into dental school. And they were like, you know, you're really bright. We know that. Why don't you use it for something else? Yeah. So I kind of went to real estate school as like a... what do you call it? Like the first of the year when you make your resolution kind of thing. Yeah. And I literally wanted to be in the January class, and there must have been people just like me that did the same thing because that class filled up. So I had to wait to get into the February class, and it just took off from there. You know, I had great mentors. Nice. The place where I worked, there was a brokerage up the street. So I literally did both for the first year. I went, got all my trainings, learned how to write contracts, and then just started selling, and it's been up from there. I've also met some pretty dynamic people within my real estate career. So I'm just always torn when people ask me, am I going to still pursue dentistry or is this it? Yeah. And I'm just, you know, just living life, doing the best that I can.
Nice. And how long have you been in real estate now?
I've been in real estate for 5 years. It does not, time literally when it goes past me, I can't keep up. It doesn't feel like it. I got licensed in March 2018. Okay. Signed on with Keller Williams. They were Keller Williams Green Hills at the time. Yeah. After COVID, they moved. They moved to the Nations off of 40th and Charlotte. So we changed our name. That's Tennessee Real Estate Commission. You know, you can't be named a different suburb than where the brokerage is. So we changed to Keller Williams Music City. And then after that, I started doing deals with other people. And my friend Will started a brokerage. And so when he invited me to switch over, I was more than happy to do it because I had been at Keller and they taught me everything. And I just wanted something new. And he and I worked together so well. I knew that it would be a success. So here I am.
Nice. I love that. And we actually met through Will.
Yes.
So obviously we can't talk about the project that we met for. Right. But we literally met the day that we were shooting the sizzle. And clicked. It's so wild. And, you know, we've
been best friends ever since. It's so crazy. I forgot that's how we met until you just brought that up. But we just instantly clicked. Yeah. And it's just like that with people. And I was just kind of raised that way. Like if it is, it is. If it isn't, kind of keep it moving. It's kind of silly to keep fighting, you know, what's repelled. So I just love that in my life when people are meant to be there, it's easy.
Yep. So how do you find now working for Will's brokerage versus Keller Williams, and what are the differences? Because obviously Will has a slightly smaller brokerage.
It's boutique, and that was fine because after COVID, Keller Williams was huge, and that was, you know, we were the number one brokerage in the city, number one agent count, and all those kind of things. Yeah. But after COVID, people stopped coming to the office, and we really don't have to dive into why. Right. So it was also getting more difficult to network, and we were networking via social media and email and text and things like that. So, if you're going to work that way in a large scale brokerage, then you can work that way in a boutique brokerage. Of course, we have a group chat at William Wilson Homes, and we all communicate with that, you know, all day long, and make sure it's just good. It's just good. The culture is going to be the same anywhere if you have great people that are willing to work together and create a good culture. Yeah. If everybody is for themselves, that sometimes works too, but everybody just needs to be like-minded and be able to work together.
Yeah. And then what is the sort of, I guess, the area of real estate that you work in? Because obviously I know you do first-time home buyers.
I love first-time home buyers, but I'm actually a luxury agent because, like I said, I started in Green Hills. And so, you know, there were other Keller Williams offices in other suburbs of town, but we were highly respected because they knew that even when home values weren't what they are now, we were working with high-end home values just because of our geographic area.
Yeah.
So I've always been a luxury agent. I don't really market myself that way because I don't want that to be my only niche. Sure. I never want to turn anyone that wants to work with me away and make them think I can only show high-end condos, because that's not the truth. And another thing that people don't realize is that we're licensed in the whole state. So no, I don't love a showing in Memphis, but I'm licensed. I can sell you properties in Knoxville or Memphis. So that's something that's unspoke of. But yeah, it's the whole state of Tennessee, not just Nashville proper. People laugh when I say Nashville proper. But
I remember because when you said that in this, so we kind of laughed and it was
but it just awesome. Kind of gives kind of gives you a synopsis of the area that I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
I've sold a lot in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
And that, with traffic being the way that it is, Nashville growing, that suburb has grown, and it used to be a quick 45-minute drive, and now it's about an hour and 15, hour and a half. Yeah. I never have enough time to get anywhere. Everybody that knows, I'm always late. Yeah. You were going to wait or not or whatever, but I'm trying to get there. And anybody that lives in Nashville and works in Nashville and deals with weekends like this one, you get it. And if you don't, you just don't. Right. It's not that I'm flippant and think I'm better than everybody else, can show up whenever. I'm just trying to get there safe and sound without dinging up a car or getting into a fatality. It's a lot of traffic, and it's a lot of construction too.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because obviously you would have seen over the last 2 years, even I've noticed since coming back here over the last 2 years, the construction, the way the city's growing is crazy. So how have you found, and how, I guess as an agent, how have you adjusted to that other than the traffic and the...
You just have to build your schedule. If I know I'm going to Murfreesboro, I would prefer to set those showings earlier in the week. I would never do that on a Friday.
Yeah. Unless
that was the only thing I had to do. I was meeting a client, to do a final walkthrough, and we were doing dinner after. It wouldn't be I've got to get from Murfreesboro back to town kind of thing.
Sure.
So I got that from college because, like I said, I waited tables. So I would wait tables all weekend, and then Monday or Tuesday I would need to do my banking or whatever, or get back in the swing of things with classes. So back in the old Nashville, early 2000s, if you were on the interstate by 3, any time between, I'm going to say 2:30 and 3:30, you would be home before 5 o'clock traffic even began. That's not the new Nashville 22 years later. If you're not on the interstate by 2:30, you can forget it. It's gridlocked. It's, and it's so funny because I was invited to an event last night where all the mayoral candidates were speaking, and they were saying the same thing. So this isn't like an opinionated conversation. This is conversation that's coming up in our elections. We have a lot of people that live here. We have a lot of dope concerts and a lot of great events that bring people from surrounding counties, surrounding cities, surrounding border states, and I know that for a fact just from waiting tables. When it was Labor Day, Memorial Day, any 3-day weekend, we would get people from Huntsville, Kentucky, that wanted to come up. I worked at Cheesecake Factory for over a decade, and we were the only one in the state of Tennessee for years. So that kind of shaped how I see how people travel for what they want. And they like Nashville. They don't immediately get up on Mondays and go home. They kind of, they want to stay and sightsee and hang around. So that makes another weekend day. Honestly, it does turn a 3 or 4 day weekend, so traffic is just wild. It's the tires that I can't handle.
Yeah.
You go run an errand, and then the next morning you wake up and you've got a nail, and you've got a flat. You've got a nail, and you don't even know where from. So
sounds like Los Angeles as well.
Does it really?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
So I know Will's changed 3 or 4. I've changed 2 or 3. I'm not quite up there with him, but yeah. Come in my garage and my whole car is on a flat. It's wild.
Oh gosh, that's wild. What are you grateful for in your life right now?
Great people, my health. I've been diabetic for 34 years. I just grateful to wake up every day, and my stress isn't any worse than anybody else's. I meet some people that kind of have it hard, and I always try to help people and meet them where they are. So I'm just grateful. It's really hard to put into words, but you always think when you have it bad that you've got it bad until you meet someone else, and there's probably someone else that's going through something worse than you are. So it's just I always try to stay humble. God is good. God's good to me.
I love that answer. What is like one piece of advice you would give to someone who's kind of just getting into real estate and not really sure like where to begin after they get their license?
Just don't compete with anyone else. Keller Williams, they taught us the phrase sphere of influence, and what that means is your core group, your family, your close friends, people who you think would be comfortable doing business with you. It's a sales job, and that's the part about it I didn't understand at first. I thought, people were going to hand me deals, and the longer that you're in business, you see that's not going to happen. That's literally people handing you money. They may help you, they may let you shadow them and help them, but they're not going to just give it to you. So if you really, really want it, and you want to break that stereotypical, most people fall out of it within the first year or two, then you've really got to grind, you really got to hustle, and you can't be shy. And that sometimes means coming into a room of people that you don't even really necessarily care for. And it doesn't always have to be said, but people's body language speaks louder than their vocal. So you might, be in a room with people you don't want to be with, or have to end up doing a deal with people you don't, necessarily want to. But if you want to be successful, you've got to jump over those hurdles and make things happen, or else it's not going to work. It's a sales job. It's just like when I worked at Juicy Couture. It's just like when I bartend. People ask me all the time, why do bartenders always go into real estate? And I actually did a podcast, and that came up. And they were like, we know so many people, and it's building rapport with people. It's client-based. It's people have to trust you and like you. I mean, I've bartended 1,000 times, and people have been like, we don't want her to make, because you're going to order with me. I'm not like begging you. You're 21 years old. What do you want to drink? Like Bud Light, Miller Lite. I'm not going to beg you to tell me what you want to drink.
Right, exactly.
So, that doesn't rub all the time, and that's just fine. There's more bartenders. Let them, and then there's people that the same way. They're like, no, we want her. She gets to send it out, so it just is what it is. But just do your own thing. Don't follow people on social media and worry about what they're doing. I think in real estate, people, they like to show their wins, but they don't show their losses. And that's why on Unlock Nashville, I really don't post a lot of my closings. Clearly, if I'm licensed, that I'm selling, or else why would I keep investing the money? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like an unspoken thing. I try to educate people and share different things, and that's why it's likable and relatable, and people like to follow it.
I like that. And I have noticed that as well with your social media. It's very, you're not flashy with your closings.
I don't need to be in a suit with I'm not a supermodel. You don't need to see my face every day. You either know me from personality or whatever. And if you want to do the business, then we'll do the business.
I like that. Along with today's outfit, you always, every time I see you, you have like fly outfit choices.
I'm always running around, and I started my real estate career actually selling rehabs. So there were a lot of homes I went into that had dead snakes and dead, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, this isn't working with the stiletto and like the two-piece pantsuit stuff. We got to reinvent the wheel a little bit. And I actually sold a townhouse out in Smyrna, and it was so funny because the listing agent, literally, it was like me and the buyers. We were there, and the listing agent was like, you sell the most homes I've ever seen in Yeezys or in Adidas. I think she said in Adidas. And my buyer sat up in her seat, and she was like, no, she said, you sell the most homes I've ever seen in athleisure. That's what she said. And my buyer sat up in her seat, and she goes, Dennifer wears Adidas. And she was like, oh man. I was like, this is wild. My clients are like all about me. You know what I mean? So that goes to show, if you build rapport and you do what you're supposed to be doing, everything comes around full circle.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily matter what.
I wear a shit ton of Yerman too, so I know how to keep it together.
Right. Exactly.
I know how to pull it together. But that's like one of my favorite stories, because they were like about to get downtown about me having on athleisure. I don't know, whatever.
Right. And that's so funny. I know obviously as a real estate agent, every day is different, but what does a typical morning routine look like for you?
I add to my story on Unlock Nashville to make sure that, if anybody is a new follower, they can kind of feel the rapport that I try to build with people that possibly want to work with me. I check emails, of course, answer any questions within my messages. And then after that, I just kind of start calling, cold calling people that have showed interest, getting people linked up with the lender. I have a panel of lenders. I actually work with a couple. One of the girls that's a lender of mine used to bartend with me at Cheesecake Factory, and we literally just did this big Top Golf event, and people can't believe that we built a rapport from there. But most of my clients, when I send them to her, I let them know that, I use her, and I work with Wesley Mortgage. That's the lender for the Titans. So I have like a panel, and I try to match people off of personality because that's a very, very sensitive, like people, you have to tell them all your financials. So you need to have a rapport with them and like each other. If you hate each other, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
So I normally do that. And then I just go out and try to tour something, check in with Will and them in our group chat, or if we have a meeting or whatever. And then stuff like this, like podcast, and just get my name out there and, you know, trying to build.
Nice. So what is the next, like, you know, with your career, what are the next goals, or what are the next
I need a website, but I'm so all over the place. I mean, I literally met with a guy yesterday, and I have no idea what I want it to look like. It's really hard to work for yourself, by yourself. I used to have a dope assistant, but she was married and wanted to grow her family, so she had to step away. So I'm always kind of looking for someone that's kind of goal oriented and driven like me. I work all the time. Like I literally roll over at 3:30 in the morning and add to Unlock Nashville. When I have free time, I have to use it because it's just me. And if I don't, then things will never get done. I literally need a website ASAP, but I've got to work with someone that'll help me build it, because if you expect now this is funny, I want the people to order for themselves at the bar, but I want somebody else to build my web. Isn't that crazy how people are like that?
That's funny.
Yeah. But I need someone that'll work with me that will take charge a little bit, and if I don't like something, then we'll fix it, but I kind of need you to design it because I don't have time, and that's not my brain is mush after like studying for the dental school exam and then the, you know, CLI class for my brain, and I'm 40 years old. People don't think it, but I'm 40 years old. I'm old. Don't look 40. I'm old. My brain is mush. I can't take on any more responsibilities, you know, and then I absorb my clients' stuff, you know what I mean? Real estate is building relationships.
Absolutely.
So I literally do make friends with even new people, you know, so I have no more. I can't. That's my favorite. I can't.
That's like your favorite saying.
That is, I just can't. That is.
I love it.
I say that all the time.
That was like the hit with the project.
Was it really?
Doing. Yes. It like
I think I did say I can't at the end. And I'm always late and drinking coffee and not eating, you know, enough, or binge eating because I haven't eaten all day. I need to get my life together probably. But that's
Everybody
a whole nother podcast.
Their own things.
Adulting 101. Adulting with Paris. There we go. Podcast.
There you go. Speaking of that, do you have any self-love practices or anything that you do that kind of keeps you in a positive mindset?
Girl, I shop. I buy me stuff.
Yeah,
like what? What? Like every time I do something and, you know, I reap good benefits from it, I'm buying me something because it keeps me motivated.
Yep.
And I like tangible stuff. I like my money where I can see it hanging in the closet. So if something good comes my way, you best believe I'm going to make it work.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you believe the key ingredients are to living a meaningful life?
You have to be good to people. You have to be honest to yourself, to your parents. You know, I think the world we live in now, it's different than when I grew up. I'm so proud of like the younger generation for being true to their sexuality. They don't take no bull. You know, if they stand their ground about politics and what they think is right and wrong. And I think that's a good life to have. I'm not saying to bully anyone. There's always a fine line with everything, but you just got to be true to you, because the weight of trying to please everybody else and not being authentic,
it's exhausting.
It'll kill you. It really will. And like I said, when you're moving around in social circles and in different rooms, and I go to Soho House and I look at all these different people that can network together and party together, and nobody ultimately cares. Just like I always say about networking in Nashville, I feel like a lot of people network the wrong way. They stand in a corner, they brag about their accolades, and they really don't get anything done. No one really cares nowadays where your alma mater is. People do still care if you're educated. I can't say for sure, but nobody cares if you went to Vandy versus UCLA versus, you know, nobody cares. If you're educated, you're educated. And with that being said, when you network, you need to be saying, I've got A, you've got B. How do we come together and get to C, D, E, F, G? And that's true networking. It doesn't matter that you know, are from Australia and fly across the country 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm in Nashville versus little Indiana. You know, all that doesn't matter. Let's get together and see how I can get some people from Indiana down to Nashville and maybe network with them to get them to Australia. That's networking to me. And that's how you really get things done. So
And I think that's important too, because in this day and age, like a lot of people, they talk, but they don't do anything.
And then when you need, you need whatever it is that they said they could bring to the table, that person's out of town. There's no true connection. So again, when you're networking, really, really try to build a pipeline as to how we're going to move along and get whatever it is accomplished. Whether you're on the board of a gala and you're trying to raise money, whether you're trying to raise funding for production. Nashville doesn't have, they have the tax benefits that Georgia does, but there's not a lot of people in Nashville that are willing to donate the money to make scripted television and stuff like Georgia does. There's a whole channel, a whole cable channel full of Georgia TV shows, and I know how they're funded.
Yep.
And Nashville could be doing the same thing, but because it's new here and because there's always some hiccup in communication and networking, we don't have it. Yep. And it's a substantial tax write-off that when it does hit, people are going to regret that they didn't take it seriously a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, we're filming a project. Well, it's being pushed now because of the writer's strike. But we were going between North Carolina and Tennessee. And the tax incentives here in Tennessee were so much better than North Carolina.
Is it 30 or 3%? It's a lot of money.
It's a lot. And it's different. It depends on the budget as well.
And it's tax-free money you get to keep. If you owe the government $1 million, I think you get to keep like $350,000 or $500,000. It's a lot of money. I haven't looked at the documents, but I've had a lot of producers and stuff reach out to me to do reality TV, and they just can't get stuff funded here. So I'm gonna work on that after my website. But I'm gonna work on that and see if we can get anything, because I feel like if people are reaching out, then there's something there.
There
clearly
definitely is, yeah.
So, and then Nashville being such a hot town, it city, I think we could do something, but we've just got to network our way around the city and get stuff done.
Well, that's another thing they don't have here. There's no like big studios where you can do.
They're actually building one out in Hendersonville.
Yep.
And so we'll just see how that goes.
Yeah, there's one that, I don't know if that's the one that Nicole Kidman's involved, but she's involved in one, her and Keith Urban.
She used to be my client at Juicy Couture.
Okay, yeah. So they're involved in one of them. I don't know if it's that one or another one. But yeah, let's see how, because I feel like that's part of something that's missing as well. Like, it's very hard.
There's nowhere to tape.
Like you can tape, but if you got to do in-studio scenes and stuff like that, it just makes it a lot harder because you don't have something like Universal or Paramount or whatever. So
Tyler Perry Studios or whatever.
Right, exactly. That place is magic. But yeah, I think I say that's why.
So if you think about all of his powerhouse friends, I mean, they're donating money to him to get the tax incentives. You see what I'm saying? So it keeps him, he's a phenomenal writer and he could write screenplays and such, sitcoms and such, but he's able to do it because it can be easily funded through his network of high profile friends who network together and get things done. It's like not rocket science,
It's really not. It's really, really simple. Do you have a favorite place to travel to or somewhere that's on the bucket list?
I'm such a Vegas girl.
Oh, you are?
If I had known when I was younger how much, like if I had known me, like the true core me, and I think I did, but I just wasn't adult me yet to really get to live into it. But I would have probably went to UNLV and lived there after, because the lifestyle is fast cars, fast money, fur coats, Rolex. I like all of that.
You like
so that's I just like it. I like the fast life, And so sometimes I feel like I'm a bull in the china shop in Nashville because people are a little bit more family. I want to get married. I want to have a baby, and I'm just like, what? I want to date Jess. Like what?
Yeah.
I want a new whatever. And so I'm single with no kids, and so I think that lifestyle fits me a little bit better.
Makes sense.
But I love me some Nashville. I like the new Nashville. Some people don't.
The new Nashville is, it's definitely.
You definitely have to have some money. I mean, to pay $40 to park and then go out to dinner, $150 dinner, and then maybe go in another bar or something and run up a $60, $70 bar tab. You got to have some money.
Yeah.
And the next day not wake up and regret your whole evening. The new Nashville is expensive. And we haven't even discussed rent. So.
The rent and I was noticed because I was out looking at stuff for the business to purchase, and it's just, even from 2 years ago, obviously it's.
What do you mean, like printers and?
No, just like real estate.
Oh.
Like it's gone crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking like Franklin area, like all the way out there.
Okay.
And it's just, even the agent that we've been working with for 3 years, he's just like, oh my gosh, like
he can't believe the comps.
Crazy. Like, yeah, the comps are crazy. So it's definitely, I think everything is just so expensive now here. And it's crazy because so many people are like, yeah, we moved from California for it to be more, like, less expensive.
And no,
it's the same.
It's the same. I've not heard anyone say that it's the same, so I'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, it depends where not the real estate, but day-to-day living.
Your
like
$6 iced coffee, blah 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 blah.
$6 iced coffee, $40 parking, like all of that's still the same.
We used to get a tax write-off for parking with our real estate, and they did away with it. I don't know if people weren't being honest, but we really need it back. Bring it back. We need it back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yep.
How important is impact and giving back? And do you do any like sort of charitable work or anything?
Very important. Like I said, I've been diabetic since I was 6. I've been diabetic for 34 years. I've always been a big contributor to the Diabetes Youth Foundation.
Yeah.
I'm very philanthropic, but I'm the type of person where I want to donate.
Sure.
If you come to me all the time asking for donations, I kind of get
a little bit
aggy.
Yeah.
I've got a core group of girlfriends, and they're on a lot of social stuff, and it's like, they ding me and DM me, and when I got successful and started my business, and I figured out that it was a tax write-off.
Yeah.
I want to give to everything, but I really like when my heart is in it, and I feel better about it when my heart is in it.
That's important.
So I just I get it when people do anonymous donations and things like that, because that means you don't want people asking you. You don't want them to know, and then it also could mean that you wanted to do it. No one asked you. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how to say it. I just like to give where I feel it's needed.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't like to be approached about it all the time.
Yeah, no.
But now, don't get me wrong. When I put myself out there in a business sense, when I go to there's a women's empowerment luncheon I go to in the summer, I already know on the last day they're gonna, ask us to donate. I get it. Yeah. So that's different than you texting me, "Hey, I need." No. There's a lot of people that need. So
yeah. No, I feel that. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'm very silent about my donations and what we do, except for if it's a film that we're investing in or something like that. Like the most recent one, Sound of Freedom, which is about human trafficking. But other than that, we don't really splash it
put
around
your name
or put our name on it or something like that. Or if it's $100 here, $200 here for a dog rescue or something like that. Like, it's not. To me, it's not what that's about. It's about more of a fact of just giving than trying to get some kind of either credit or whatnot for it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just not my niche. Like, if I was, more Real Housewife status and did the gala thing or whatever, I guess I would want my name out there for that. But if I'm going somewhere to donate money, I'm probably not going to bring up real estate. So it really doesn't help grow my business. Or it's just not.
It's different.
My niche. It's a different kind of networking.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Is there a movie, TV show, or book that has impacted your life in a big way?
I would say Beaches growing up impacted my life.
Yep.
Pretty Woman impacted my life. It's a good story.
Yeah. Classic.
Book. I can't think of a book that's impacted my life. After graduate school and you read for scholarly articles, PDF articles, I lost my knack of reading for pleasure.
Sure.
And I'm old school, and I do like hardback paper. I want to flip the pages.
Yep.
I'm not a Kindle girl at all. I'm very antiquated about some things and very stern about it. I don't want to look at a Kindle in the back seat of a car. I will puke out the window. I just can't.
I feel you.
So I have to have that old school flip the pages, even a magazine.
Yeah.
I'm huge on Fleetwood Mac, so I collect a lot of since Miss Christie died earlier this year, I've been collecting a lot of Rolling Stones magazines with their, because I feel like eventually they won't be published in photographs altogether anymore.
Sure.
So I don't know. There's no book I can think of. All I can think of are scholarly books.
Yeah. No, that's okay. There's always so many different answers with that question, and I love it. I've had people say Harry Potter and stuff like that. Which
I never
really
got
cool,
into it. I never got into the what was the other one that was kind of a like erotic? I never, because like I said, I lost my knack for leisurely reading.
Leisure reading, yes.
And it's so weird to say that because I literally grew up and my mom would take me to Walden Bookstore and buy me a new book at least once a week, a couple times a month, because I did love to read, which is why I was successful. Sure. You know, in academia, I didn't mind reading. I was fine with finding a corner or finding somewhere to be attentive to whatever it was that I was trying to learn.
I like that. So we have a couple questions left.
Okay.
We'll definitely have to do part 2,
of
Lord. Course, because there's a bunch of questions we didn't get to.
Okay.
But what would you do for the rest of your life if money was no object? And is it what you're doing now?
Fitness. I love to hike. I love nature. That's my biology.
Yeah.
I love going to Chattanooga to the aquarium. I love turtles. Oh my gosh, there's a man-made pond by my house, and it's stocked with like fish, and there's huge snapping turtles, and they just live their best life, and they're all different sizes, and they come out on the side, you know, to get out of the water, and they just kind of hang. They're very sensitive to sound. I don't always get a photo of them because they can hear the camera click on my cell phone, and they'll jump back in the water, and I don't like to disturb them.
Yeah, of course.
And I also hate when people are like walking their dogs, and their dogs are loud, and you know they jump back into the water. But I love nature, so I think I would either be like more into hiking. I would go for a hike every day, or I would just be in the gym. I like to lift. Weights. I like to lift heavy weights. It's a stress reliever. It's also a good time to get to listen to new music uninterrupted.
It's a great
and like
time.
If your face is like, I hate this, you know, people don't assume that like
people don't notice
you're angry or whatever. So I would work out a lot more.
I like that. Do you believe in the term leaving a legacy?
No.
I'm
going to say no, because I grew up in the Tori Spelling era, and it just comes across as elitist. It's kind of like, what did your kids do to deserve the legacy? I like for us all to create our own. That goes back to like our earlier conversation of the younger generation. They stand their own ground. They do their own thing. They create their own narrative. I'm fine with Silver Spoon, but that just takes me there. I would much rather build my own, and that way I could choose what it is that I do. How many people do you know that like their parents are a physician or a lawyer or whatever, and they want nothing to do with it? And it took me a long time to understand why. At first I'd be pushed back and be like, but your dad's, you know, look at Bart and Blair Durham. You don't want, you know. And some people do not.
No, they don't.
They don't. They want the exact opposite, because they've seen their parents at home struggle to be whatever it is.
Of course,
Or their parents were never home because they were out building whatever it is. So when you say leave a legacy, it makes me think somebody didn't have to work. It kind of fell in their lap, and that's just not my Midwestern upper blue collar roots.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
It just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, I love that. If you could sit down with anyone passed on or alive and gain insight and inspiration from them, who would it be and why?
I mean, I want to... I don't know. I want to say like Tupac Shakur, Old Dirty Bastard. I just want to know why they were geniuses in their craft. But on screen, and I'm not that great with this, you know, but on screen they were portrayed a different way. So I want to get into the creative what made you want to start the Wu-Tang Clan? Like what were the first couple meetings that made you know what I mean? And then you were like the crazy one walking around all the time. But I get that he was having fun, but to other people it looks like he was wild. You know what I mean? Crazy. And it, you know, and with Tupac, he just died so early, and it just, if you go back and look at the story, it looked like a lot of people were kind of banking on him. And so I want to know, how did that make him feel? Did he even realize that that's what was going on? Like, it's just sad. And we didn't have all the social media and stuff now that we had. You know, we didn't have it then. So it was just hard to piece it together. So when you rewatch documentaries, and you can tell they're old, you know how you could tell on film when something's old, or like a photograph.
Of course.
It just looks, it just makes the story come together better. because we didn't have a way. I don't know. My grandmother, I mean, sometimes when people age, it's best to just let them go. Sure. And you can, if you're really, really like in your spirit and attentive, you can see when they're aging, and you can kind of just know when it's time, when the time is near. I don't know if that's my benevolence, but I can always just kind of tell. And I guess it's because I would come back and forth from college to home. Yeah. You know, you see that people have aged. Oh, of course. It's like smack dab in your face. Of course, yeah. You know, I left at 18. When I came back, I wasn't 18 anymore. Sure. I left in Skechers. When I came back, I wanted to wear stilettos. I mean, my mom says it all the time. She's like, when you came back from Christmas break, I didn't know you anymore. You know, you were not a different girl, but you had grew up. I had grew up, and she wasn't there to see the metamorphosis. She just saw me go from, I've always been hip hop, you know, trendy dee to a little bit more sophisticated.
Gotcha.
With a little bit of a southern, and so you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just life be life, and
completely
life be life.
Completely. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners, or anything else that we haven't covered today?
Stop renting. Buy yourself a property. You know, spend your money wisely, but don't be afraid to spend money. You only live one time, and just live the best life that you can.
I love that. And how can people stay in touch with you?
Oh, follow me on Instagram at Unlock Nashville. That's the easiest way. If you text me, I'm, normally on social media, because that's where most people reach out. So I always try to get on Unlock Nashville. It's open to anyone that wants to follow. Message me. Let me know what I can do for you. I'll get you contacted with the lender. The first step of buying a home is not touring properties. The first step of buying a home is getting hooked up with the lender to see what the bank is willing to do for you, unless you're a cash buyer. Being a cash buyer isn't always the best move. There are some people that don't want to write those contracts because, at any point in time, they think you're going to pull out because you have the funds to do that. Yep. So let's just chat. Let's get people into home ownership. And if you need to renting can be cool, but it should be a short-term goal, because there's tax incentives and money that you're missing out on by not being a home owner. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants a condo in the sky that overlooks the skyline for 4th of July in Nashville, but they cost about $3,600 a month. So if you're not wanting to put out $40,000, or if it's not a tax write-off for you, you need to be owning a property, and you could come downtown and watch the fireworks from the ground like everybody else, and go on back to your suburb and live the best life that you can, because life be life, and it life's hard, and it life's fast. Yeah. So don't waste money, but don't be afraid to spend money. I'm not the girl that's going to tell you that.
Perfect. Well, thank you. This has been absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
As per usual. And we'll do this again soon.
Thank you. Round 2.